Hey guys, what is up? It is Friendly Neighbors here, back again with another Isaac Hardcore run. Let's do some Eve. Gotta get some Eve done. Late 6. Alright, so Eve is gonna be a bit bizarre after that last run, because the last run we had really good stats, so it's gonna be default awful in this run. I think I can survive. I do still very much dislike the fact that Eve can't actually kill black flies in one shot at the start of the game. Ooh, iron bar is nice. I think it's a damage up. I should double check that so I don't spread misinformation, but I'm pretty sure it is a stat up, and I'm pretty sure I've concluded it is not a tears up. And I believe it's a damage up because of that. Two-shotting those red flies strongly suggests that it is in fact a damage up. Because I believe red flies are 3-shot with Eve generally, so. Famine, eh? Oh god. This might actually be terrifying. Yeah, I believe it's a damage up. A small one, like a 0.3 or something. But a small damage up is still a damage up, especially when you're Eve. Eve desperately needs any damage up she can get until you can figure out a way to abuse the Whore of Babylon. Which, in fairness, we have good potential to do pretty much right now. Can you fucking bird? Hey, bird! You wanna fucking go? There you go. Thanks, bud. Alright. We do not have a self-sacrifice room, so we will do this strategery. Ah. And then grab this. Ball. I'm disliking the no bombs, no keys. That is kind of frustrating, but I don't think it'll make too big of a difference. Generally, keys will drop on the second floor. Generally. So Whore of Babylon is great. Because, oh, thank you. So we have 1 red heart, 2 spirit hearts. That's sick. Whore of Babylon does a few things. Obviously, it is a damage up and a speed up. Pretty good damage up. I believe a 1.5 damage up. Which is incredible. And then it's a small speed up. A non-zero speed up. And then the greatest part about it, we need to get out. Okay. The greatest part about it is the fact that not only is it the damage up and the speed up and shit like that, it also removes Eve's bad damage multiplier. Eve by default, I believe, is, what is it, 0.75 damage multiplier or 0.8 damage multiplier? Somewhere in that vicinity. Technically, every character starts with 3.5 damage and then has multipliers. Isaac's is 1, so he's the most vanilla. Oh god, yes. But Eve's is shit. Her damage multiplier is so bad. And it's intentionally that way, but when you're in Whore of Babylon state, it actually removes the damage multiplier entirely, which is sick. It's very good. Okay, I almost picked up that red heart because I'm retarded. That's okay though. Let's see what we got in here. Whew. Alright, so my tears up is, I believe, just straight up capped. I think 0.7 tears up caps you without any delay down. I remember somebody on Reddit saying that. They were like testing how tier delay down worked, and then they were just giving themselves sad onion only, I think? Actually, no, I think it was 2 things. Yeah, it was probably 2 things. Alright, so what do we got? Oh my god, yes. So this is incredible. This is actually just incredible. Right, I forgot about that. But I can just, you know, push those around now, which is awesome. This run's already incredible. I'm very happy with the way this is going. We already have... Damn it. We already have very high damage. Alright, especially with the Fear Shot. The Fear Shot is a 1.0 damage up. Yeah, we're one-shotting spiders, which is crazy. And then we have the Whore Babylon damage, and then the concussive shot damage. And we have a Tears Up, a 0.7 Tears Up, mind you, which is the second highest that can exist. No, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think it's like around 1.2 Tears Up is where you're capped without any delay. I'm not entirely sure. I know that number 1 gives a 1.5 Tears Up, and it's wasteful. Like, that caps you and then some. I think it is. I think it's around 1.2 or something. Okay, not one-shotting that, which is a little bit annoying. But I don't really care, because we're two-shotting that, so... Alright, this is very, very good. I'm very happy with the way this run's going. I am upset that I'm getting no bombs, because we have seen quite a few Tinted Rocks, but... He said but... I'm okay with the fact that we have absurd damage, very good survivability, and, well, now we have our bombs, so... What more can I ask for? I can probably ask for hopefully not having concussive plus fear proc on every enemy, because if that actually happens, then things get spoopy. Because enemies become so unpredictable. Like, either one makes enemies super unpredictable, and then you put them both together, and the Haunt just decides to fucking spin 11 times in place and just explode. And then fucking bat enemies just charge themselves into a different dimension. Alright. Alright. Okay. Ugh. This room is actually super frustrating sometimes. This time being one of those times. When you run good. Oh, so, sure. So, I saw it when it happened, when it came about, but I didn't entirely commit it to memory, when this Magic player, Greg Hatch, I believe he's actually my spirit animal. Dude's fucking crazy. Love the guy. And he was playing in a Star City Games Open. Or no, Invitational. It was an Invitational. And it was Legacy, which, if you don't play Magic, Legacy is basically the format where, you know, cards from any set with a ban list. So, essentially, all the cards that you have, except certain ones are banned because they're actually broken. So Legacy's pretty much wide open as a format. Has been as long as people can remember. There are, like, definitely decks that will rise to the top generally, but it's pretty wide open. Greg Hatch, at the Invitational December last year, created what I can only call the world's greatest Magic deck, or Magic brew, that's ever been created. And brewing is referring to basically, you know, making your own deck. Not just like copying a list or whatever. Like, it's a brew, you know, it's like fucking beer. That's where brew comes from. It's like you're making your own beer. And so, Greg's deck, so I proxied it up, which is to say that I printed out, you know, just very basic images of the cards and just stuck them in sleeves along with some throwaway cards, right? So I proxied it up just to see how it would play. Let's just do this. And the deck doesn't... It feels like it doesn't do anything. But then you realize that this deck can win on like turn 2 quite often. It's called Artificer's Intuition. That's the main card in the combo. And it's a card that like is pretty bad. It's an enchantment that you can pay mana and discard an artifact card. Sharp Luck doesn't actually do anything, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna have to say nah. You pay mana, you discard an artifact card from your hand, any artifact card, doesn't matter, and then you search your library for an artifact with converted mana cost 1 or less. So that's good and fine, and sounds like it could be maybe an engine, but it sounds really slow. Well, he then combines it with this card Salvage Titan, who is a creature, who is an artifact. And what he does is he's basically, I mean, his purpose is that he's an artifact, and he can get himself back in your hand from the graveyard by exiling, so getting them completely out of the game forever, 3 other artifacts in your graveyard. Now, what's really interesting is that those 2 cards, Artificer's Intuition and Salvage Titan, that's already an engine, right? Because that allows you to discard Salvage Titan to the Intuition, get an artifact that you want. I'm not taking that. Get an artifact that you want, right? And then if you have enough artifacts in your graveyard, you can just recover the Salvage Titan and do it again. And then there's this card, Lion's Eye Diamond, which is a pretty good one. That is legal in Legacy. It's kind of like the Black Lotus, except that you have to discard your hand in order to get the 3 mana. And it's fairly busted as well. Which is pretty hilarious to say. That a card that is basically Black Lotus with sometimes downside is like... I don't know, I guess it's almost always downside. The only time it's really not downside is when you want to discard your hand or whatever, but there's other ways to do it. I don't know. It's busted. Card's good. Gives you 3 mana, which allows you to use Artificer's Intuition 3 times, of course. And combine this with this card, Helm of Obedience, I think? That's what the name is. Which is a 2 mana artifact, so also an artifact. The very important thing is that the only non-artifacts in the deck are Artificer's Intuition. And, like, even all the lands are artifacts. Goathead is sick. And so, what the Helm does is it basically, it just sits on the table, and it makes everybody, like, all spells that people cast cost 1 less colorless mana to cast. Now, normally, you'd think, oh, that's just a purely symmetrical effect that I see nothing broken about that. Well, this deck can abuse that pretty drastically. And what you essentially want to do is use Lion's Eye Diamond plus Salvage Titan, right? Plus cards like Conjurer's Bauble, which is just a 1 mana artifact, and the most important thing is that it's an artifact and it says draw a card on it. And it costs 1 mana. So basically what you can do is you Artificer's Intuition, getting rid of Salvage Titan, get Lion's Eye Diamond. Right? Use Lion's Eye Diamond, float 3 mana, which allows you to use the Intuition 3 more times. Return the Salvage Titan from your graveyard to hand by exiling 3 more cards, 3 more artifacts from your graveyard. Right? And then you spend 1 of the 3 mana, go down to 2, and use Salvage Titan. Discarding Salvage Titan, of course, to Artificer's Intuition. Getting a Conjurer's Bauble. Play Conjurer's Bauble for free. play it, sacrifice it, it goes into your graveyard, it says draw a card, you draw a card, right? Still with me? The card that you draw should be an artifact, because the deck runs almost exclusively artifacts. The only time that it's not going to be an artifact is if you hit one of the other 3 Artificer's Intuitions. In which case you kind of, as Greg liked to put it in the deck, you wipe out. And that's the only wipeout card in the deck, is essentially 3 copies of the Intuition, because you already have 1 in play. Sure. Let's just pop this. Give me assist, sure. Right, and then whatever artifact you draw, you pitch it to the Intuition, go down to 1 blue mana, right? Get another Bauble, play Bauble, sack Bauble, draw a card. Whatever artifact you draw, you pitch it to the thing, go down to 0, get Lion's Eye Diamond, play Lion's Eye Diamond, you have no cards in hand, sacrifice Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 mana, exile your Baubles from your graveyard, as well as the new Lion's Eye Diamond, right? Get back Salvage Titan, and then you just essentially loop that until you have enough cards in your graveyard, because you're going to net positive cards in your graveyard every loop. I think 2 cards in your graveyard every loop. Until you have enough that you can get back Salvage Titan 3 times in a row. At which point you're going to search up Altar of the Brood, which is a 1 mana artifact. 1 mana artifact from one of the newer sets, that whenever a permanent, which is anything that isn't a, that basically sticks on the table. Whenever a permanent comes to play, your opponent puts the top card of their library into their graveyard, right? Whenever a permanent comes into play under your control, right? You get an Altar of the Brood, and then you get 2 Sensei's Divining Top, or Divining Top, which is a pretty busted card in its own right. And it's a 1 mana artifact, and the most important text on it is that it says, you can tap it, right? And then what happens is you draw the top card of your library, and then you put the top on top of your library, essentially replacing the top card with top, and then the top card goes in your hand. And why you do that? You get 2 tops with an Altar of the Brood, with a Helm of Awakening out, so everything costs 1 less mana, so they're all free. And then you play Altar, you play top, you sack top, you draw a card, you put the top on top, and then you sack the second top to put the top that's on top in your hand, and then the top on the board goes on top, and then the top in your hand gets played, and then you sack, or you tap the top in play to get the top on the top into your hand, and then you can loop that, right? That's an infinite loop. Good at putting permanents onto the board, which puts your opponent's entire deck into the graveyard, and if you try to draw from an empty deck, you automatically lose the game. So you do that until they're out of cards, and then you say go, and then they die, because they're trying to draw from an empty library. It's a pretty sweet deck. If you don't play Magic, I probably just made a whole lot of not sense, but if you do play Magic, you're probably scratching your head like, how the fuck does this deck even win? Turns out you can turn 1 win with that deck. It's not common. In my gold fishing, which is basically just, you essentially play against a goldfish, so they don't do anything. It's just you against nothing. Solitaire, if you will. In my gold fishing, I've had turn 1 kills twice. In fairness, I haven't solitaired it that much, so maybe it's a bit more frequent than I am anticipating. I probably goldfished like probably close to like 90 times. But you also have to remember that I have been learning how to play the deck all the while. Like, I didn't, I still don't quite fully understand everything that I have to do in the deck to make it work. But I definitely had a turn 1 kill, or a pair of turn 1 kills. And then I've had an absurd number of turn 2 kills. I'd say turn 2 probably happens like 30% of the time if I had to spitball it, which is absurd, by the way. Can I just say that? Like, in Legacy right now, some of the most powerful stuff that people do is turn 2 show and tell, which just each person puts essentially a permanent from their hand into play, and both players do it at the same time. And you know, you just put Emrakul into play, who's pretty busted, or you put like Omniscience into play, cast Emrakul, take an extra turn, attack with your 15/15 flying Annihilator 6 monster or whatever. Right, so that's like turn 2 is when you're like getting your threat onto the table in Legacy right now. Unless you're the Delver deck. But then the Delver deck, you just automatically beat with this deck anyway, because you can just play Salvage Titan as a 6/4. Literally just kill your Delver opponent with Crawl Worms and they can't fucking do anything about it. Like, how does Delver actually beat Crawl Worm? They can't. Especially not turn 1 Crawl Worm. Anyway, sorry, I might be geeking out a little bit too hard about Magic the Gathering right now, but holy fuck, dude, this deck makes me so happy that it's real. It is the exact deck that I love. It's ridiculous, right? It's complicated, and it's combo, right? It's the kind of deck where it's like, look at all these things I'm doing, and then you don't even know, at the start of the turn, you don't even know if you're gonna actually win the game. Because, like, you know, you have the wipeout cards. They exist. What do we got? You know what, sure. And go. What do we got? Nope, not worth fighting over. Alright. Yeah, you have to navigate incredibly complex turns in order to just win the game. Which is just awesome to me. I love that shit. I love it so much, actually. I hate this room. I hate that room with a burning passion. Okay. Teleporting enemies, you got me. You did see that guy right there. This guy that yeah, you're seeing his motions right now. That's what I'm afraid of. That's my greatest fear when it comes to the current items that I have going. Nice. I had a feeling. More than a feeling. Let's just do this. Fucking kill yourselves. Alright, thanks. Boop. I haven't even used the fucking unicorn horn, like, at all. I probably should. Creep gone. Boink. Oh yeah, so in case you're wondering about things in the womb, if I'm doing something that seems weird to you, it's probably because in the womb there's this awful, gross red filter that covers everything, and it's disgusting, and it shouldn't exist, but it does. And that doesn't cooperate with the YouTube compression. Alright, there's actually no way to not take damage in that scenario. Maybe I could have avoided 2 hits. I'll concede that. But it was so bullshit on a man. And I have a fucking unicorn horn, so I'm also retarded, but... So yeah, I guess... Whatever. I think this one we're ending at Mom's Heart. I don't want to go further. This run is not powerful. It's powerful enough to beat Mom and Mom's Heart. But I don't think it's powerful enough to take down Satan. Well, probably it's powerful enough to take down Satan. I've been over this before. I think Sheol's way harder than Satan ever could be. Just the floor of Sheol. What? What? I don't even know. I'm out of it right now. It's not great. I'm fucking jerking myself off over a fucking stack of cardboard or something, so... But yeah, even if you don't play Magic, you can probably appreciate Greg's raw enthusiasm for the game that he loves so much. Greg just always creates super fucking sweet brews And the way he does it, also we got Buttless Chub. The way he does it is so fucking cool. It's like, it's the exact way that you want somebody to brew a deck. They just go through Gatherer, which is the database of stuff, or, you know, there's other places that are essentially Gatherer, but have much better interface. MagicCards.info. But, you just go through a database of all the cards in Magic. You look at a card, and you're like, can I do something with this? Right? You just find a card that you think is sweet as fuck, and then you build around it. Right? That's it. That's the way to do it. That's what Greg does. That's how his father did it. Something, whatever. But, like, it's just, it's so fucking cool, right? Because it's just this guy spending his free time looking at a database of cards that exist and being like, oh, this one seems sweet. And then just spending the rest of his night just, you know, trying to figure out a way that it's really good. And he's actually, like, nailed it quite a few times, in my opinion. Specifically, I think the Artificer's Intuition deck might not be the most competitive. If the field is like all Delver or whatever, it seems really good. Or all like fair decks like Elves or something, it's really good. Obviously against like Miracles and shit, it probably loses. He had a sick, really sick deck based on like Sky Hussar, which, if you don't know what that card does and you play Magic, look it up. It's very silly. He actually has no ace to cast the Sky Hussar in his whole deck. He literally just plays it for its forecast, which is so good. Anyway, I'm done geeking out over cardboard. Sorry, guys, that you had to hear that if you don't like cardboard. But thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, if you did, leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with... I want to end the weekend with Azazel, so probably Eden, because Eden's a bit random. So I'll be back tomorrow. Look forward to that. I'll see you there.